future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Catherine Gray.
Hi, welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by 360karma.com. You know, next week I just wanted to mention we are going to have on the famous OBGYN to the stars here in Los Angeles, which is Dr. Sherry Ross. She's written a book called Sheology, and we're going to talk about that, as well as we're also going to have Paula Ciacci, who is the founder of Outward Media. She is one of the prominent women in the country that is doing direct email marketing to help you grow your business. So going to be a great show. You won't want to miss it, and just be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or follow Live, Love, Thrive on your iTunes, your iHeart, or any of your other podcasts so that you don't miss any episodes. Today we have on the incredible Dr. Christine Horner. She was a surgeon turned holistic doctor, and we're going to talk to her a little bit later. But first up, we have the extraordinary Cathey Painter. She is a health coach, and we're going to talk about her health and beauty report. Please welcome Cathey Painter.
Thank you.
Hi, Cathey. How are you?
I'm great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here. I actually heard you speak at the Women with a Purpose conference, which was incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so I want to talk about your journey and talk today about something that I think everybody is interested in knowing is how do we stay young, feel good? I know you said you can't have beauty without having health, so
That's right.
They kind of go hand in hand. And so as baby boomers like myself, you know, we want to hear what your story is and what you're recommending for us to, you know, stay youthful and young. And I think that's so important to our quality of life. You know?
Absolutely. It's everything. If you don't have your health, really, nothing else matters that much.
Yeah.
So our health is everything. And I really teach people to, number one, take 100% responsibility for their own health.
Right.
That's just
Right.
what
It
you
doesn't
have to
happen
do.
to us. We create whatever it is for the most part.
For
I
the
mean, it
most
could be
part.
an accident or something like that where we have to step up to the plate and rehabilitate ourselves. But even that, like, I know your story is that how you kind of really got into this. I mean, is that your husband was diagnosed with stage 3 prostate cancer.
Right, right.
And it was looking pretty grim, and he was going to go down the regular path of chemotherapy. And I understand that there was like this 2-month waiting period for surgery. And
Exactly.
you kind of said, hey, let's go down this holistic path and see if we can make things, because it kind of was in your background. So I found this really fascinating that
Yes.
your grandmother and mother were kind of into holistic health back in the 60s before it was even really popular.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I had, at the time he was diagnosed, I had already started writing the Ageless Beauty Report.com,
Right.
which is all about creating lasting beauty through creating optimal health. So I knew that he could get well naturally, but he didn't know that.
Right.
And he wanted to research all avenues, and I said, fine. And I just found it really, you know, amazing that you're diagnosed and then nobody can see you for several months. And so that's when I said, look,
Yeah.
we've got
in
these...
America.
In America, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
That's
so for
right.
those of who are listening,
Right.
if they should get that diagnosis, this is kind of a
Right.
wake-up call,
It
isn't
is.
it?
He was diagnosed in October, and I remember he wanted to see this surgeon, and we couldn't get in until December.
Wow.
So I said, you know what? Let's do everything we can.
Yeah, and many people don't make it.
Right.
Waiting 2 months for a doctor, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So we went around to appointments. We interviewed naturopath doctors.
And you're a certified naturopath now.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and you did that as a result of this results that we're going to
Exactly.
talk about, right?
Right. After we got him well, of course, I got a lot of phone calls. Can you help me? Can you help me? And
Yeah, I bet.
and so I decided to go back to school and become a board certified traditional naturopath.
And this is what you do now. You help people. So if somebody is diagnosed with cancer, they would look up Cathey Painter
Yes.
as a health coach to get them through this in a holistic way.
Right. Well, I work with clients who, most all of my clients have their Western medical doctors, and some of them are doing Western treatment, and then I also come in and help them with their lifestyle, their diet, and their supplements and their superfoods to give their body the best chance. And then some people are like, okay, I want to just do everything really natural, and so I may not be able to help them in every area, but I can guide them to the right people. But I definitely, everybody I work with, no matter what the issue is, we focus on the foundations for optimal health.
I know you're very passionate about this. Isn't it great to do what you love?
It
And
is.
make such an impact
It
in people's
is.
lives. I think people, if I were listening, I'd be thinking, tell me the path your husband took exactly, and what were the results? Did he end up having to have any Western medicine?
No
or-
Western treatment
Wow.
whatsoever, none.
And it was stage 3.
It was stage 3 prostate cancer that had already spread outside of the prostate.
Wow.
And so, to make a long story short, I mean, the very first thing we did was diet. That's something that everybody can do.
Absolutely.
And basically, you want to eat lots of fruits and vegetables. If you do eat meat, you want to make sure it's grass-fed.
What about the fruits and vegetables? They need to be organic, right?
Everything needs to be organic.
Yes.
Eat as close to nature. Include lots of herbs because they are very anti-cancer. And so that's kind of the gist of the diet. I mean, we did away with all processed food and, of course, no alcohol. No sugar whatsoever. We did.
That's a hard one to give up, isn't it? Is it
it
hard for
is.
you? It was hard for me.
I mean, I will say, in a life-threatening situation.
I say it was hard for me. I
Yeah.
still struggle with it. I haven't
Yeah.
given it up, but I try
Yeah,
to.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's addictive.
It's interesting because everything my husband did, I did alongside with him.
Right.
Because we were a team.
Yes.
And so
And it made it easier for him, I'm
It
sure.
did. It
Yeah.
did. And
I know
guess
when my
what?
partner and I do like paleo or whatever,
Right,
it's
right.
definitely easier when you're doing it with somebody.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But so diet was key, and we
Was
did.
he exercising before this happened, or?
Well, his job is very physical, so I would not say that he exercised on a regular basis, but his job is physical, so that was not a problem. I will
Does he
tell
work
you.
in the circus, or?
No, I know. No, he actually works in the entertainment business
Oh,
as
okay.
a director of photography.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
it's a lot of heavy lifting of
Yes.
equipment and
But does
that
he
sort
still?
of thing.
Did he still need to exercise? Like,
Well,
no?
that would have been great.
Yeah.
But we didn't really. I mean, we go on walks in the canyon. We have dogs, so we do that. And
Isn't that
and
the best?
It is the best. It is
Yeah.
the best. You're out in nature.
Yeah. I think dogs have a healing energy too.
Absolutely, absolutely, they do.
Bring
they
you so much
do.
joy, and
Yes.
they're like little love balls. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love is a healer, I always say.
It
My friend
absolutely
BJ
is.
always says that.
It is. But one of the things that we had to work on was going to bed early and getting enough sleep.
Oh, we've been working on that.
Right.
We do that sleepy time tea, and I don't know if you recommend that. What do you
yeah,
recommend for people to sleep better at night?
Well, number one, you've got to prepare ahead of time. You've got to turn off your cell phone, turn off the
Yes.
TV,
Yeah.
dim the lights.
Right. So many people watch TV right before they go to bed,
Exactly.
or look at their computer or cell
Exactly.
phone.
Exactly.
And I've heard that research shows that looking at your cell phone or your computer actually stimulates your brain.
It does.
So that you can't sleep. And then people wonder why after they look at it that they can't sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, when you do that, what's happening is that light tells your pituitary that it's not time to go to sleep. So therefore, it's not time to manufacture any melatonin, which helps you go to sleep. Now, here's the other great thing about melatonin. It is the master antioxidant of the body. So if you are looking at a screen right before you go to sleep,
Right.
not only are you not producing melatonin that helps you sleep better,
Right.
you're missing out on that powerful antioxidant.
Right. So
So-
you're saying when you do all these things that don't, require the screen and stuff, maybe read in the lights, those are
Right.
the things that release this melatonin in you?
It signals to your body
Mm-hmm.
that it's nighttime.
Right.
It's time to release that melatonin because it's time to start winding down and going to sleep.
Right,
So we
right.
really have to prepare
Yeah.
to relax and
Yeah.
go to sleep.
Now, I don't know about your lifestyle, but when you go out and, you go to a party or whatever, isn't it hard to come home and wind down? I know it is for me.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah, you're
Absolutely.
like, oh, it was so fun. And, you're thinking about the night and, and how do you wind down from something like when you go out, like for an evening on the town?
My favorite thing to do,
Yeah.
and I do this every single night,
Yeah.
I take a bath.
Oh, wonderful.
That is my relaxation time. I put a little lavender essential oils
Yes.
in my bath, and that really prepares me.
Yeah.
It brings me down. It
Yeah.
winds me down.
Now, what I do is I write my gratitude journal.
Oh, yes.
And just going to bed with that positivity in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I also find that sleepy time tea is good too. I don't know if
Right,
is that
right.
something you'd recommend? I mean, it's natural, right?
If it's natural,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I haven't
Yeah.
done any research on it.
Do you suggest people actually take melatonin?
Well, if they have cancer, that's what I suggest. Absolutely, you take it every night before you go to bed.
So that's what he did?
That's what he did. He still does it. Some of the other things that we did besides diet and going to bed early, we did super high doses of lipospheric vitamin C.
Okay.
Vitamin C is
Lipospheric.
very anti-cancer.
Okay.
We also did.
I heard vitamin D is too.
Well, vitamin D is very, very important. That's also something that if somebody has a serious health issue, I want to know what their vitamin D levels are.
Right.
If they're low, we're going to work on getting them back up, supplementing. But the other thing is sun therapy. I want everyone to be in the sun for a minimum of 10 minutes every day. And as simple as that sounds, it's hard.
Really?
If you're working inside
Yeah.
and if you're working a job,
Right.
it can be very hard.
So you're saying even a 10-minute walk outside?
10-minute walk. If you're working a job, if you can go outside and eat your lunch outside, the sun not only helps your body produce more vitamin D,
Right.
but the energy of the sun
Right.
helps your cells detox and heal.
Wow.
So there's a lot more to the sun than people really understand.
Right.
So
Go buy that convertible.
exactly.
So when you said go to bed early, let's tell everybody what is the purpose of that going to bed early? What does that do?
Well,
and I've heard that too, and I
Right.
adhere to it. But let's explain that.
Well, the body only repairs and regenerates between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
Wow. So these people that stay up till 2 a.m., they're not regenerating.
They are missing out big
Very
time.
interesting.
Big time. So
Wow.
if you are working on getting well from a chronic or serious health issue, it is imperative that you go to bed at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Imperative. You want that 4 hours of
Yes.
restoring and healing and regenerating.
Right. Now, how does that work with this? I mean, I don't mean to be literal, but there's the time change, and
Right.
and we're on a different time than the East
Right.
Coast people. So how do you determine that? It's just 10 o'clock for your time zone, your
time
body.
zone. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish we didn't have daylight savings.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story.
You know, they're voting on doing away with it in California.
I hope they do.
Yeah,
I hope they
really?
do. But it's all tied to the sun and the energy of the sun and which determines the circadian rhythm in your body.
So 10 o'clock our time here
Right.
is the same circadian rhythm as 10 o'clock their time, even though it's 3 hours different. So that's how you
Right.
can say the same for everybody.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. And so if you're traveling and you're going to a different time zone,
Yeah.
one of the easiest ways you can acclimate
Uh-huh.
is when the sun is going down, you go stand outside with your bare feet on the ground so that you are grounded and you watch the sun set. That will reset your circadian rhythm to the local time very quickly and help you get over jet lag really quickly.
How fascinating. So as the sun's going down there, go outside barefooted and take it in so you reset your clock inside.
yeah.
Wow,
Now,
there's a great tip.
Yeah, and it also works to watch the sun rise as well.
Ah.
As well.
Okay.
Right, right.
All right, that's a beautiful tip.
Exactly.
So it's very interesting that well, let's just say before we get to your grandparents, your grandmother and your mom. So your husband, from eating right, sleeping early, exercise, and supplements.
Right.
Those were the things that helped him heal. That alone.
Well, let me tell you what we did first. We went up to the Issels Clinic in Santa Barbara.
Oh, right. You mentioned that.
And we did a 3-week program there where they detox you and they do a lot of IVs for you, and you do acupuncture, you do counseling, you do hyperbaric chamber treatment.
When you say counseling, is it because not only is it physical, but healing is also emotional, mental, and spiritual?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the whole thing plays into healing. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I knew for my husband that he needed to get away. He needed to totally focus on his health. And I felt that the best way for him to do that is say, okay, you're not going to work for 3 weeks. We're going to go up to this clinic where every day, all day, they're going to be taking care of you. They're going to be teaching you, and they are going to be doing things to help your health.
Because he had a very high pressure job.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I do think that that's what makes people ill, is a lot of stress. I mean, we all,
Absolutely.
I think that's common knowledge now.
Exactly.
But just a little sidetrack. So a couple weeks ago, I went to the Wine, Women, and Chocolate
Exactly.
weekend retreat,
Exactly.
women's retreat in Solvang with
Yes.
Kat Curry-Williams. And I have to say that getting away that you're describing, away from the phone, out in the country, out in nature, I couldn't believe how healing it was. I mean, I know that,
Right.
but to actually be reminded.
Exactly.
And come back and literally, physically have felt the stress leave my body, to feel rejuvenated, regenerated. It was an amazing feeling. And then also it makes things like really take off in every direction of your life to have that feeling of rejuvenation and energy.
Right.
So I think we're in LA, it's so busy and our lives are hectic and everything, and that, we all know that we need balance, but we don't always do that.
Exactly.
But a little getaway like that. So I can see how that would be really healing. And shutting off the phone. Oh
Right.
boy, that's
Yes.
a great one.
Yes, absolutely. So we spent 3 weeks up there.
Beautiful.
And, I have to back up and say the minute we changed his diet drastically and we added, the
So what did he used to eat? What did he eat before this?
Well, he works.
Anything and everything?
Well, we did eat healthy because I am a cook. I really like to cook, and I always have fresh salads and fruits and vegetables. But he works in the entertainment business. He's on the set a lot.
Yeah.
And, everybody knows how that goes. There's all this catering.
From donuts
and
to chips. And,
Exactly. And
yeah.
sometimes he's working long hours, and he might be on location, and at 10 o'clock at night, there's not many options in
Right.
wherever he is. So
Right. So how did he change that? He just
Well-
said, I'm changing it. Like, you just make up your mind and...
Yes, you make up your mind because you go, okay, I'm going to attack this and I'm going to do everything I can to help my body heal. And so he made a commitment to himself that he was only going to eat foods close to nature. So lots of fruits and vegetables. I have to say that I really changed the way I cook to be, I used to do a lot of gourmet sauces and this and that, and we really became very simple. A lightly cooked vegetable, a big salad with lots of herbs and sprouts, and then we cut down our meat size, whether it was chicken or fish or grass-fed beef, to be only about 4 ounces.
Okay, and then you did away with sweets, with
bread
junk food, with
and-
bread, with
yes.
pasta, all of that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And we did a lot of juicing too. A lot of juicing and fruit
Now,
smoothies.
how are we going to make this sound fun?
Well,
The fun part is you feel better.
the fun part is
Yeah.
you feel better, and this is what I teach all my clients. Do not focus on, oh my goodness, I've got to make these incredible changes. It's going to be hard. I want you to focus on that everything you're putting into your body is healing your body. And then I want you to focus on how great you feel.
Yeah.
Because I tell people, you don't really know how bad you feel until you feel really good.
Right. That is so true.
It is
Yeah,
true.
we've had that. We did that paleo diet for, I think it was 8 or 10 weeks. And we felt incredible energy and felt
Right.
really good, and
Right.
you know, cutting the bread and the sugar and the
Yes.
alcohol and everything out. It sounds tough, but
Yeah, it makes you
like
feel
you
better.
said, if you're feeling good,
Right.
you're gonna. It's so worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, if
and you can
you're-
make that food pretty good. I mean, you can.
can.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Listen,
yeah,
and-
especially if you're a good cook. Yeah.
Right, but if you're not, let's say you're busy and it's just you and you don't have somebody helping you, there are so many options. You can have food delivered from these healthy chefs. You can go to your local juice bar and they can juice a green juice for you right there on the spot.
Fresh, yeah.
I look to make it doable for everybody wherever you are. You know.
What was that book you told me you picked up that puts you on the right path of helping your husband?
Oh, well, it was Ty Bollinger's original book,
Yeah.
Cancer, Think Outside the Box.
Right.
And of course, Ty Bollinger now has created the most amazing website called thetruthAboutCancer.com.
Oh.
I mean, it's always on the list. This is, you know, where you can go to learn all sorts of information about getting well from cancer naturally. And if you are interested in creating optimal health, it's also an incredible site.
Right.
I mean, my hat's off to them. They have done such an amazing service to humanity
Right.
by creating this website and making this information so readily available to everyone.
And it wasn't before.
It wasn't.
Right.
It was not.
Yeah,
it
it should be,
wasn't.
but it wasn't. Well, that's
Right.
great because that's a great resource.
Exactly.
And your mom and your grandmother,
Yes.
they
yes.
were like really leaders in this genre. Which is
Very
no
ahead
wonder
of
that
their
you
time.
ended up in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you started in your earlier years. You were a TV reporter.
Yes.
But then you decided. Where were you
Well-
a TV reporter? Here in L.A.
Well, I was a TV producer on a number of shows. That's how I met my husband.
Oh.
And then what happened was when I had my first child 20 years ago, we realized that.
When you were 10. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
exactly, when I was 10. But we realized, you know, the hours when you work in entertainment are just vast and demanding.
Right.
And so to have two parents in that genre was just going to be too much.
Too much, yeah.
And so I decided to stay at home for a while. And luckily I was in that position to do it, and I'm very grateful. But after I'd been home for about 8 years, I was like, okay, I'm hungry. I need something to do outside of the home, but I don't want to do anything full time. And my husband came home one day and he goes, all you do is research health and beauty. Why don't you share this in a blog?
Right.
And so that's what I did. I started the Ageless
Brilliant.
Beauty Report.
Yeah.
So that's how that all got started.
And now it's a popular blog,
Exactly.
and you love doing it. And
I love doing it. And, you know,
Yeah.
but I had
and
the
then
background.
and then after he got well,
Right.
You became a certified naturopath.
Exactly,
Yeah? Right.
exactly.
So then that gave you the ability to be a health coach
Right.
to other people.
Right. So
I
I
think-
do that. I do the health coaching with, you know, one-on-one. And then I also have a class that I teach called Creating the Foundations for Optimal Health with Essential Oils and More. So this is for anybody that really is ready to learn more and learn about the foundations of health, because this is what I teach. And I found this true in my husband's life and really in every client that I've worked with. You can have a couple of cracks in your foundation of health and you can go along just great. But then all of a sudden, if something happens, you lose a loved one, or you go through a divorce, or even if you go through something physical like a car wreck.
You know, that just happened to a friend of mine this week. Her mom was 89 years old.
Right.
Had an accident that broke a bone in her back. And they said, had she not been in optimal health,
Exactly.
she wouldn't have recovered from it. But at 89 years old, she's going to be okay. They're sending her home this week. Incredible.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you know, we're really not taught about the foundations for optimal health, either in our public school system.
Isn't that crazy? We teach
it is crazy.
math, reading, arithmetic.
Right.
Why don't we teach the kids about health and finances? That's the other
Absolutely.
one. The
Yes.
practical things that impact their life so tremendously, we leave off of the curriculum.
Yes, yes.
Go figure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's,
Hopefully
and
we're going to change that.
hopefully we will, because it's having a detrimental effect.
When more women are in positions of influence and at the decision-making table, which is our goal here at 360 Karma, that's when those things will change, because women will make sure, I think, that those things are part of the future curriculums.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't think the traditional school will be around anymore because of all the internet and computers and whatnot, but that's a whole nother story.
Exactly, exactly,
But
yeah.
would love to see a wave of change in holistic health and financial information to our kids
Right.
that are coming up in the world. Well, what a pleasure having you on today.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they'll be sure to check out the Ageless Beauty Report
Yes.
and just keep doing wonderful things.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we are going to be right back with Dr. Christine Horner. Thank you for tuning in to the Live, Love, Thrive show, where we bring you powerful and positive programming about women and those who support women's empowerment. It seems by sharing their stories and showing us their talent and potential, they remind us of our own. We ask you to join us weekly by taking a minute to subscribe to our 360 Karma YouTube channel so you get to see every episode of these uplifting and inspiring stories. We all need more of this, yes? And did you know we have the Live, Love, Thrive book on our 360 Karma website and on Amazon? If you enjoy reading books of incredible women who are doing amazing work in the world, you will want to pick up a copy. Also, when you join 360karma.com, you will enjoy our growing video content of expert advice and support, and learn about our workshops and our second annual Women's Conference in West Hollywood, November 3rd and 4th of this year. If you would like to align with a like-minded, purpose-driven community, you will feel at home at 360karma.com. We encourage and support you to live the life you love.
RTB Financial Group empowers women to raise the bar and take control of their financial future. For more information, visit rtbfinancialgroup.com or call Amanda Barr at 424-284-4216. The Live, Love, Thrive program is brought to you in part by Honda of downtown Los Angeles, supporting the equality and empowerment of women.
Hello, welcome back, and please give a warm welcome to Dr. Christine Horner.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Fresh off the train right
I
from
am.
San Diego.
I am.
I know.
Fresher than I wanted to be.
You just got here, right?
Yeah, that's right. My train was late, just to add to the cheap thrills.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm glad you made it.
Thank you, me too.
San Diego's so beautiful.
It
How long
is.
have you been there?
I've been there for about 6 years.
Yeah.
And absolutely love it.
Yeah, do you miss
Never
LA?
leave. I didn't live in Los Angeles. I lived in Taos, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Did you love that?
I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So which one's better if we're...
Oh, San Diego.
Oh, San Diego.
Taos
San
is
Diego's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love California?
Exactly.
So I think this is so interesting. So your background is that you were a surgeon. Mm-hmm. But the coolest thing is you told me you knew that you wanted to be a surgeon at 10 years old.
I did.
That is crazy.
I know it is crazy.
Yeah,
So it was
so you're,
just,
like-
to me it was a destiny, right? It had me, I didn't have it. It chose me.
And when people say that, they're like, they say, I had no other choice because
Right.
you knew you were destined to do that. And it's so funny because some people will be like 30 or 40 or 50 and they'll be like, I don't know what my purpose is. But you at 10 years old had that vision. Now, how did that come to you? Like at 10 years old, you're thinking, I want to be a surgeon? Did you even know what it was?
Well, believe it or not, I was watching a television program, Medical Center, with Joe Gannon, and
my
there was
gosh.
a person who was in a car accident and was on the streets, and he
Yeah.
took a pin out of his pocket and stuck it into his trachea so he could breathe.
And
I
you're
was
like, cool.
That's it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
TV really does influence us, doesn't it?
It
I mean,
does,
it's
yeah.
huge. I always say I couldn't imagine our lives without TV and film. Oh my gosh.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
It impacts how we learn, how we educate, how kids see themselves. It's just amazing. Anyway, so you grew up in the Midwest.
I did.
You're a Midwest girl.
Very Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many Midwesters end up out here.
That's right. The smart ones.
Starting to seem like everybody's out here. Yeah, the smart ones.
The smart ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what parts of the Midwest did you live in?
So I was born in Illinois, then I lived in Iowa until I was about 14, and then I moved to Ohio. So,
Okay.
yeah, very Midwest.
Yeah, very.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the comparison? So Midwest, San Diego, LA. But
There is no comparison. I went back there, people are like, oh, when you
just
go
curious.
back home, you resonate with it. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, thank God I escaped.
yeah, you don't capture me as a Midwest girl.
No. Everyone thought I was from California, even when I was 10.
right. I can
That's right.
imagine.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I finally came
that was
to
a
where I was
destiny
supposed to
too.
be. Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So back in the day, and I would think even today, but back in the day, to be a female surgeon was like a pretty big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, you've told me you were like the only female in the
was.
entire residency program, that
was.
group that you were in,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, I was.
So I can't imagine, and beautiful.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I can't imagine how challenging that had to have been, because you know, there's these guys that think, oh, you can't be beautiful and smart. You know, let's face it, they're out there, and to be the only woman, I mean, that had to be a challenge. I mean, was there, I think you and I talked about this, but obviously there's sexual harassment and people.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean.
So I approached it with a lot
yeah.
of humor, but all the women
Yeah.
surgeons, you know, that I met with, because later on in my career, you know, as a woman plastic surgeon, actually, when I graduated, there was 150 women plastic surgeons in the Plastic Surgery Society, you know, that had graduated, and 5,000 men. So we created our own little club, but as we were talking, it's like, really, you had to be 10 times better than the guys were in order
Right.
to, you know, be able to, you know, stay up with it. And
Right.
yeah.
So, yeah, very small percentage.
Yes.
Yeah. But I bet, I don't even know what the statistics are today, but I know when we look at almost every industry, which is why I do this women's empowerment show, is to educate people that, you know, I don't care if we look at tech, political, automotive, science, whatever it is, we usually make up 10 to 15%.
It's much higher than that. For doctors, it's 50% now.
Oh, it's 50% now.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's improvement.
It sure is.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so 50% of the surgeons
No,
are women?
50% of medical school.
Okay,
Yeah. So
okay.
it's still
But-
a smaller percentage
Yeah,
of surgeons.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's a tough
And we need to
life.
change that, because I'm sure you are a fabulous surgeon.
I was.
Right? And when we don't give the young girls that vision of that they could be surgeons, well, then we'll never get there. So I'm glad to have you on the show to encourage young people that, you know, women can be surgeons too, and that more of them need to go for that path. Don't you think?
You know, I
But-
think it's good. Yes.
But here's the
It's a
big
tough
but.
life.
The big but is that you no longer do the surgery.
I don't. Yeah.
And you really shifted toward holistic medicine, which is very unusual for someone that's a surgeon to do. Obviously, you're successful.
Right.
You're doing great. What made you do that shift over to holistic health and write a book about the Ayurveda?
Sure. So when I first started my practice, which was in 1991, in very short order, I'd say within about 2 years, there was a whole lot of things that kind of converged on me at one time that really changed my path. And
Okay.
one of those things was insurance companies stopped paying for breast reconstruction following mastectomies. I got a letter from an insurance company saying, we're not going to pay for breast reconstruction on your 32-year-old patient because it's on an organ with no function.
Now, unbelievable. Okay, so the insurance companies were covering
They were.
the reconstruction
Yes.
for mastectomies of women that had cancer.
Correct.
But then they decided that they weren't.
That's correct.
And that's when they found out they could not mess with Dr. Christine Horner.
I got
took
really
a
mad.
woman. Yeah. And it's a great conversation to have today. And we're going to get to the part that you actually changed that law. Because so many things are being taken away now that have to do with
Right.
women's health not
Correct.
being covered by insurance.
Yes.
So that's why it's a especially important topic right now. So you got a law passed so that women that have breast cancer could get reconstructive surgery covered by their insurance, and now it's law.
That's right. So it's a federal
You
law.
are my hero.
Met with President Clinton
That is
multiple times.
great.
Yeah, so we did get that passed. But
Yeah.
you know, my mom, the reason I got so interested in breast cancer was that my mom had had breast cancer
Right.
Back when I was in college. And then as I was working on this campaign, she had stage 1 breast cancer, which, you know, in Western medicine, we say that's the whole thing is you want to do mammograms and check frequently so you find it small. Well, that's
Right.
what they did with my mom.
Right.
And the same thing with her. She got a second cancer, and they found it was really small and no lymph node metastasis. But
Right.
about 5 years later, which was right when I was starting my campaign, my mom gets metastatic breast cancer from, you know, her previous tumors in her leg, and that was it. She didn't want to live anymore, and she just gave up and didn't do any treatment and died about 9 months later.
Oh, my.
So that really rocked my world.
Right.
In
And you were close to
addition-
your mom.
Very, yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
in
said
addition to that, in my practice, I was doing a lot of breast reconstructive surgery, and I was
Right.
noticing my patients getting younger and younger until finally I was doing breast reconstruction for breast cancer for women in their 20s.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's when I
Wow.
went, okay, something's wrong here, and there's
Right.
got to be something that women can do. So I started going through the medical research, and this is 20 years ago. So it was before we had any kind of conversation in our culture about natural health.
Right.
And
And
so
let me stop you one
Sure.
second and just say, I think this perspective that we're getting ready to talk about is something that a male doctor just wouldn't really have any concept of because they don't have breasts. So they would just keep working on these women, reconstructing their breasts. But
yes
I
and
think from a
no.
woman's perspective, you were
Yes.
like, I love this, that you were like, wait a minute. What's causing this? How can we stop them from getting it in the first place?
Right.
Right?
Yes.
That's what I love about your book, that you were like, how do we prevent this in the first place rather than how do we solve it once they have it?
Right. Yeah.
And see, that's what I'm saying, that I think as a woman, you look at it differently than perhaps male doctors. That's why I say kudos. And that's
Yes.
why we need more women doctors.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are some good holistic men
Yeah.
out there, though, too.
Yeah.
Doctors are, too. But, so I, went through the medical research just to see what, if anything, that we knew that could influence the risk of it. And 20 years ago, literally, I found thousands of studies that show exactly why we have a breast cancer epidemic, everything we're doing to contribute to it, and the things that we traditionally don't do in this culture that are highly protective. And they're all natural. So food, supplements, herbs, lifestyle, everything that I was taught in med school and my training didn't matter. Didn't have a single nutrition course. So
Isn't that amazing?
It is
Do
amazing.
and they still don't, or do they?
Well, there's some that do, but I
heard
went
it's
back
very little.
Yeah, I went back to my medical school about 20 years later after I'd been studying Ayurveda, and I said,
Which school was that?
University of Cincinnati.
Okay.
And I said, so do you guys have any courses in nutrition? Yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow.
I learned nothing about health. That's what I said. Nothing.
Did you encourage them to add it, or?
No,
Or you can't.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
you can't really
I'm not
impact that.
influential on their curriculum. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but that's something that needs to be done. Just like Cathey and I were saying, we need to add nutrition and other things, finances and stuff, into the curriculums of young people in the schools.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The younger, the better.
Yeah, we need to teach people how to stay well. And so, what are your suggestions? Is it? I know Cathey and I just talked about, eating, exercise, sleep, supplements. Are those all the
Right.
things that you recommend?
Yes. You know, there's, these are the keys to good health. And as I was going through the medical research, it was like, well,
It
these
doesn't
things,
take brain surgery,
it's
I would
not
say
like
to you.
This is unique,
Yeah.
to breast cancer
Yeah.
because it's, bad diet, not exercising, stress. I mean, all these things are huge contributors to developing breast cancer.
Yeah.
Now, there are a few unique things that specifically for breast cancer and that may affect women. So, for instance, hormone replacement therapy, for example.
Right.
So this is something that's really personal to me because my mom took hormone replacement therapy, back a long time ago where they used to have the very strong strength on it and everything. And that's why we think that she got breast cancer because otherwise, she was completely healthy and everything was fine.
I've heard that can cause that.
Yeah. So in 2003, the Women's Health Initiative study, which is the largest ongoing prospective study on women, came out and said, oops, everything that we were saying about hormone replacement therapy, which was the #1 prescribed medication, because it was like supposed to be the fountain of youth.
Right.
But
so do they not prescribe it as much now?
Not very much at all. However, there is this trend, and let me just finish this one thought about, what happens with hormone replacement therapy is they found that it absolutely increased the risk of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, gallbladder disease, heart disease, and a lot of things that they think that is supposed to be protective against, it does not. In fact, there was a study that came out just this past month that took a review of thousands of different studies, and they said, okay, we have come to the conclusion that it should never be prescribed with the intent to try to prevent diseases because the side effects of it are far worse, and it doesn't effectively do that. So now we have this thing where we're doing bioidentical hormones, right?
Yeah.
And lots of the studies show that the more estrogen you're exposed to over your lifetime, the higher your risk of breast cancer is going to be. So really, it's not a safe way, and I don't think it's an intelligent way to go about controlling menopausal symptoms if you have them.
I agree.
Because in Ayurveda, what we learn is that you've got an internal healing intelligence inside of you. And when you do things that she doesn't like, she goes, excuse me, I don't like that.
Yeah, right.
And then you're just like, well, you keep doing what you're doing. And then she gets louder. She's
Right.
like, wait a minute,
You
I
keep
really don't like
ignoring
what
it.
you're doing. And
Yeah.
then you go, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
And then she gets really mad and starts screaming.
Right.
Hot flashes, mood swings.
Right.
And it's like, instead of listening to her and saying, well, okay, what am I doing that's upsetting you? Can I do something different?
Right.
Versus saying, oh, let's just do hormones and shut her up. You know?
Yeah, right.
So what we find is that oftentimes when you just talk to a patient and you find out what their diet and lifestyle is, you can say, the one thing that you're doing that's really throwing your body out the balance the most is you're staying up too late at night. You're staying up to midnight. So you start going to bed before 10 o'clock, and guess what? Their hot flashes go away because you're inducing balance into the body.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
that it's something so slight and of a change as that.
It is. And then if people need something supplemental as far as, to help them, and sometimes they do, particularly in the transition period, then I recommend there's a natural plant-based supplements that you can take that have great research on it. And one of them is called Relizen, Relizen. Okay. And this is something that I discovered back in like February.
And it's all natural?
It's made out of plants like flowers that look like daisies from Sweden. And the thing I was most impressed with is that they've actually studied it with the same rigors of what you would do with pharmaceutical medication. It was used in Europe for the last 15 years. They just brought it to this country about 3 years ago.
Wow.
But they've done double-blinded, placebo-controlled studies that are university-based and found that it's very effective in helping with hot flashes, mood swings, and all sorts of other menopausal symptoms. And it doesn't have any side effects. So they actually measured it against placebo. And there wasn't any increased side effects with it,
which there usually
compared
aren't
to
with
that.
Plant-based.
Well, they can be, but it's fairly rare. So so Relizen, there's actually 2,000 OBGYNs that are now recommending Relizen to their patients because of the research, with it. And I actually have it in my book. So if you want more information about it,
I was looking for the name of your book.
Radiant Health Ageless Beauty.
Radiant Health Ageless Beauty, which I read. It's amazing. Everybody should pick up a copy.
Yeah, it just came out last year, and it just won a National Book Award for the best book in health medicine and nutrition.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's just people educating themselves about what they should be doing, like you said, going to bed early, or what supplements they should take, or like this new, there's something new coming out like all the time, right? It's keeping up on that.
Even ancient things. So from ancient cultures, every culture had some plants that they used for menopausal symptoms, like in South America.
How did we get away from that?
Because you don't make that much money with it.
Right.
That's right. It's not
I don't believe in
patentable.
taking any pharmaceuticals, but
I try not to myself.
I know sometimes people have to for high blood pressure, cholesterol, or whatever, but I also think that those things could be dealt with naturally, even if temporarily they use the pharmaceuticals. I think everyone could get their blood pressure down. I think everyone can get their cholesterol down if they have the right diet, exercise, sleep,
Yes,
supplements.
in fact, this is an ancient Ayurvedic or traditional Chinese medicine philosophy too, that every disease comes from imbalances that we have. So as you do diet and lifestyle mistakes, these imbalances grow and then they can actually then develop into a disease. So all you have to do is reverse those things.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that we think are not treatable or, that they can't go away in Western medicine, like arthritis and things like that, completely reversible with Ayurveda.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Why do you think, if it's kind of getting to be common knowledge out there, that it is related to stress or eating or sleeping and all these things, why do you think people don't 100% adhere to it? In fact, it's probably a small minority that actually do actually pay attention to this. What do you think the reasons are?
Well,
How long do you have?
That really is a frustrating thing. I mean, there's this horrible statistic where if somebody's had a heart attack in the United States, 90% of them go back to their original diet and lifestyle in 1 year.
Wow.
So death is not a motivator in human beings.
Right,
And I'm like, wow, I'm really handicapped because I'd love to make an impact in the breast cancer epidemic, but, I'm dealing with human beings where death is not a motivator.
Wow.
So we're so, distracted and pulled into, the commercials in our culture and all that kind of stuff. And it really takes a focused consciousness, really, to say, I'm going to choose healthy things for me. And if you have, I always think it's great to get your partner, your family involved too, because
have a support team.
You really do need a support team, and it makes it so much easier.
So, so what is it that you think it is? Do you think it's that people feel like it takes such a discipline? Is that what it is?
I think it's that, and then they think it's not fun. Like somehow they're like missing out, on things. But it's like, I've been a vegetarian since I was 14. And actually, vegetarian dishes can be just unbelievably delicious with all the spices and everything. And it's like, you're not.
And I can
missing
tell
out on
you're having
anything.
fun.
That's right.
Right?
That's
right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's what it is. People think it's not fun. But what Cathey said in the previous interview just today on the show, I thought was interesting was that when you're feeling your optimum, when you're feeling energy and you're feeling fabulous, you're going to have fun. And you're going to love life and you're going to enjoy yourself more than if you're doing those things that may not take discipline, but you're not going to be feeling great.
That's right. You're
and
tired
you're going to get sick
and achy and you don't feel so good, and it takes away your joy. And if you're having to work with chronic illness, it's like all your energy gets focused in that instead of being able to really live joyfully and what your passions are. And
And I think maybe too they feel like like when people aren't feeling their optimum, they don't even really know it until they are feeling it. Like they don't even know the comparison. And then they don't know it until they really get sick. And then they're like, oh my God, this really stinks. It's like,
Unfortunately, that's the big
big
motivator. Well,
maybe not too late.
Always. I mean, you can't reverse things, but it's the big motivator to get sick, and it's just the state of human beings.
So, has your lifestyle always been healthy? Like when, I mean, you knew you wanted to be a surgeon at 10. Have you grown up in a healthy lifestyle, or did you transition into one?
Well, my mother was not a great cook. In fact, like
neither.
TV dinners were a big thrill.
Oh my God, we had those too.
Yeah, like the aluminum. But when I was 14,
what were they thinking?
I don't know. When I was 14, I became a vegetarian. So I did have this health consciousness, always been an athlete and exercising and everything. But once I was, going through residency and, working 52 hours without sleeping and wonderful balancing, things like that. So when I got out and I was in my residency program, here I am working, and doing vegetarian diet and running and everything, but I didn't feel good. And in the afternoon, I'd have energy crashes and I'd think, I'm in my 30s. Is it downhill from now? I mean, what happens? So I said to myself and to the universe, if someone would just tell me what to do, I would do it. And that's when I found out about Ayurveda.
Wow. And how did you find out about it?
Well, actually, when I went to Washington, D.C. and met with President Clinton, I came back to Cincinnati.
I love this story already.
It's all woven.
Yeah.
I came back to Cincinnati, and the television station sent out a reporter to interview me, and he had been a teacher of Transcendental Meditation for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So he said, you should really learn how to meditate. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do that. So I learned Transcendental Meditation and was blown away by the effects of it. And so then he said, well, this actually comes from a system of medicine called Ayurveda, which I'd never heard of before.
Wow.
And actually a sixth of the world's population uses Ayurveda as their principal source of medicine. It's basically around India, Sri Lanka, kind of those areas. And so he said the best thing you can do to experience it is to go to this spa in Fairfield, Iowa, of all kind of strange places, back to my old stomping ground. I went to basketball camp in Fairfield, Iowa. And it's called Pancha Karma, which means 5 actions. Pancha means 5 and karma means actions. But it's a detoxification program that's 5,000 years old, all designed to get toxins out of the body using hot oils and steam treatments. And it's actually like luxurious spa treatments.
Yeah.
So I go there for 3 days, but within 48 hours, I looked in the mirror and I looked 10 years younger and never felt better in my life.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my God.
Wait
these
a minute.
people
After
know
how long
something.
there?
48 hours.
Wow. What's the name of that place?
The Raj. But there's actually Pancha Karma clinics that have sprung up all over here in LA. That there's ones too.
Oh, I'm going to get that address from you.
So so it's recommended that you do that a couple of times a year. And if you think about 5,000 years ago, there was no toxic chemicals. They were mostly eating organic. But
so for 48 hours, what do you do? Like
you just
they put
get
you in a time
slathered
machine,
on. That's right. Resting and massages and steam treatments. Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but very effective at getting the toxins out. And they've done great research on it, that's shown that if you do a 5-day treatment, you can cut your toxic load in half.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so very effective.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're full of toxins these
We
days.
are.
Yeah, we are. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm
you're
honored to have you on.
welcome. My
And
pleasure.
shared great information.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what you've done and what you're doing. So
Thank
just
you.
keep making a wonderful difference in the world.
Thanks.
Thank you. So we will be back next week with more great women doing amazing work in the world. Stay tuned and watch us on Wednesdays at noon, or of course you can follow us on YouTube and our podcast on iHeart and iTunes. Make it a great day. Hugs and happiness.